Now, it's safe to say you know something about weddings. And can I ask ballpark how many weddings you have planned and or attended?
Well, I have been in this business for almost 20 years.
Wow.
I would say 300 to 500.
What's the overview? You know, if you're, when do people speak? When does it happen? How will it all look on the day?
So generally, toasts happen right at the start of dinner, right? So usually what we call micro events of a wedding, or the major micro events, are ceremony. And then there's typically an hour cocktail reception, right? Where there's some past hors d'oeuvres and drinks. That's when people get to like, ooh, they're married and hi, good to see you. And then there's like the call to dinner where the guests are invited to be seated. And I like at that point, before dinner service actually begins, to make sure that everybody has a drink in hand, or, you know, champagne flutes are filled. And that's when we have our speeches or toasts.
Okay. And is there an order, a traditional order for who in the wedding party speaks?
Well, usually depending on the couple, right? If it's a young couple, oftentimes there is, you know, one of the partner's parents are maybe financially paying for the event. And so we would traditionally start off with the host, and that would be the parents of one of the marriers, one of the partners. And then usually it will go into like, if there's a best man, or a maid of honor, or, you know, an honored member of the wedding party, then they speak. And then maybe another parent or a representative of the family member of the partner who hasn't already been spoken for by a family member.
And if I'm someone who's giving the speech at the wedding, how do I find out what that order is? If there's a wedding planner there, or do I ask the couple? Do I bother them? Do I find someone else? How do I'm sitting there terrified going, I know it's coming, but when? Like, do I just have to hear my name and run? Or will I know, okay, I'm after this guy?
Well, hopefully if there's a wedding planner involved, the wedding planner will usually, I personally will prep prior to going into dinner. You know, when we're still in cocktail reception, usually I will grab the person or persons who are speaking and just want to let you know, after we're seated, this is the order of toasts. So make sure you have a drink. I usually will just prep them. But if there isn't a wedding plan, if there is a wedding planner, definitely ask the wedding planner 100% before you ask one of the couple. And if there's not a wedding planner, ask the couple. And oftentimes if there's a caterer involved and no wedding planner, the service manager or banquet captain might also know.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So that's someone to ask who is not.
Or a DJ or MC would also know this for sure. For sure.
And having seen a lot of wedding speeches, what do you see go wrong, or what do you see most often go wrong?
I would say just maybe a lack of being prepared. You know, I mean, it's funny because I can always tell what kind of person it is by their, you know, level of preparedness, right? If it's somebody who's like a ham and loves, you know, talking in front of people, you know, they're like, I got this easy. They're not nervous. They're like, whatever. If it's somebody who is like, oh, you know, really nervous, they usually will come to me way early on and be like, okay, I'm giving a toast. Can you let me, it's usually the way they ask me and like in what order. But I think it's typically the people who aren't prepared, right? Who just try to wing it and aren't necessarily great at it. Or maybe they've had a few too many drinks and they're not prepared, or they completely go off script. I mean, don't drink too much before giving a toast. That's probably my best piece of advice. One drink, great. Maybe two. Liquid courage is not so bad, but don't completely alter your state to give a speech. No bueno.
Yeah, it's like driving. It does not help your coordination.
I like that
Uh,
analogy.
yeah, and someone should make you walk a straight line and shine a flashlight in your face before you go up and talk to 200 people. Uh,
I should do
so
that.
just like, oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
we're moving your spot to the end. You're gonna
Yeah.
go get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So if someone comes up to you and is one of those super nervous people, who's coming up to you, while the ushers are seating people for the ceremony and saying, I'm terrified. Do you have a little pep talk, or do you have words of wisdom? What are your calming
Yeah.
words?
I always say to them, listen, you were chosen for a reason. You're special to this couple. And so whatever you say, as long as it comes from the heart, it's going to be a hit. That's all people, at the end of the day, all people listening to a toast or speech want to hear is words from the heart. And maybe a couple funny lines. But that's what I tell them. Like, don't worry. This is a room full of people that either love you or the couple loves you. And this is a very, this is an honor to be asked. So you'll do fine.
It's a friendly crowd. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not open
Yeah.
mic night at the Chuckle Hut. Yeah. They
Yeah.
want you to succeed.
Yeah. This is not politics.
Yes.
It's a wedding.
Where do people, when they go wrong, are there particular areas?
Talking about exes, it's always, I mean, you see that in the TV shows and movies, but it's true. And I've seen it. I've seen people cringe. Like, oh, why did he say that? Did you hear that? Holy, yeah, no, don't talk about exes. Don't get too deep into stories from college when you guys were totally hammered and woke up the next day and had no idea who those dudes were. Not a good idea. Going into personal and deep on things like between best friends are amazing stories, but to a crowd of my grandmother, my aunt, and my, now husband's mother, don't do it. Don't do it.
That's fantastic advice. And just for the practical side of it, the actual walking up there, are there any practical pieces of advice that will set people up for success? I mean, how does someone make sure they're heard? How does someone?
That's the biggest piece of advice. It drives me nuts. It's hard to command a room, right, Beth? It's hard to, especially for someone who's shy. But the fact of the matter is, when you get 150 people in a room and a lot of them haven't seen each other, or, we're just past COVID and they're ready to party, it's hard to shut them up. Oftentimes, it's really hard. So I often feel, depending on the vibe of the couple, that the MC or the DJ or, band leader actually gets the guest's attention prior to bringing on the person making the speech. And if that is not something, sometimes the couple doesn't really want that. Sometimes they don't want an MC to do that.
Yeah.
And so if the person making the speech has to introduce themselves, I tell them, get people's attention. You know what I mean? Hello, I'm over here. Hey, John in the back, command that they all stop speaking and don't begin your toast until they do. And if you say, hey, Beth, can you help me tell John to be quiet back there? Beth will do it,
oh yeah.
It'll happen. But the worst thing is when somebody's giving a toast and nobody's freaking listening, and I want to hear, you know what I mean? It's annoying. And then you get all this shh, 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 in the crowd. So that's the biggest thing, is make sure they're listening and you get their attention.
Well, what a missed opportunity, because you've put time and effort into the speech, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's just kind of background music. You're just music.
Yeah.
That's awful. And finally, so do you have what's your firsthand experience, either giving speeches at a wedding? Have you bridesmaided? Did you speak at your own wedding?
My own wedding we just celebrated our 20-year wedding anniversary, actually. So it was a long time ago. But I did a couple of years ago give a toast at my sister's wedding. I was the maid of honor. And I, had a whole, wrote it out. I'd thought about the points that I wanted to make in advance and kind of kept going over it again and again. And I think it was a lovely toast because I just talked about the love I had for her and us growing up and who was special to us as sisters in our lives, who are our grandmother who'd passed away, who, had raised us, who everybody in the room knew and loved like crazy. Like her presence was obvious there, even though she had passed. So, talking about our parents and then, how excited I was for my sister and how much I loved and respected her new spouse, my brother-in-law, and the baby, because they had given me my niece. So I kept it really, really, what's the word? Well, heartfelt,
Yeah.
loving and positive. I guess that was the majority of the toast. Yeah. And then made sure at the end to say, everybody raise your glass, because so many people forget to do that.
They just wander off and say, thanks, I'm done.
Drop the mic.
Oh, geez.
Have a nice evening. Yeah.
And that brings me back. So that sounds like a fantastic speech. And that brings me back to, so what kind of ending? So after someone finishes a speech, they finish it with a big, clear, everybody, not just me, let's raise the glass, let's have the toast. And then as the planner and as someone who's also trying to make sure the photographer's in the right place.
Oh yeah.
What should their next step be? Do they go to the couple? Do they head back to their seat? Is it just a victory lap?
Oh, so this is, logistically speaking, it's a good thing that you mentioned the photographer. As a planner, I'm always making sure that the photographer is aware of the order of toasts and if there's a surprise one. And I always make sure that the person's giving the toast stand in one spot. And what I've learned over the years, especially from videographers, is that if I can have a mic stand there, it's better, because people tend to go like this with microphones in their hands, or like walk around and go out of the frame or out of the good light. So usually I'm talking to the videographer and the photographer for the best spot for those people to be standing. And then I swoop in and I grab that microphone from the person giving the toast right away, or the DJ does, because inevitably they go to the couple and give hugs and kisses. And I want to make sure I'm going to have that microphone ready for the next person coming up.
And that they're not holding the mic in front of their face for that when they're giving the couple a hug and a kiss.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant.
Or like, or like they're banging it on their head, like, oh, John, oh my God, I'm so glad you didn't tell that story about, college.
Oh God,
whatever.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. Yeah, thank God you didn't mention that whore. No.
Yeah,
you still might.
Did you see Aunt Patty's face? She was pissed. Yeah.
Well, Uncle Dave's hammered again. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, that's just expert next level advice, is have a mic stand so that it is not tempting. Don't touch the mic. If you're the person delivering the speech, don't touch the mic, and you don't have to lean down and talk into it like you're at a congressional hearing either. You're not consulting with your no, I have not. My attorney has advised me. So if there's a mic there, if you're giving a speech, right, you can assume that it's been positioned in a way.
Yeah. And oftentimes too, for my weddings, it's a huge plus. If there's a live band, for example, you've usually got a sound tech who's there, who's literally adjusting volume and levels on the mic and dealing with any feedback. So that's like a humongous plus. If you can have a sound tech on site who's monitoring all that, you are frigging golden, especially if you're like, you're soft spoken, those people who are so soft. I'm so happy you're like, what? The sound tech will be like, let's bring the volume up on this person. That's a huge plus, but not everybody can afford those luxuries because they're expensive.
You can be your own, and you can sort of, can everybody hear me?
Yeah, exactly.
No. Okay. Speak louder. I know I said finally, but last question, just as someone who is, you've seen so many, what to you is the sweet spot for length for a speech?
Oh my gosh. I always tell couples when they're asking people to give a toast to let them know that it should be 5 minutes max. Like that's a long time to talk for people who aren't professionals at speaking. It's a really long time. I've seen some that are longer that go beautiful, but typically people who give longer toasts than that are people who are used to speaking in front of, someone like you or a public figure or something. But usually a sweet spot is like 3 minutes.
You can fit everything you need into the short speech. It's all in there, beginning, middle, end.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And well, I can't keep saying, and one more thing.
It's okay.
Well, I was going to, because I'm trying to think of all the questions people ask me, and I love getting your perspective on stuff, because why should they take my word for it? We're talking about the same thing from different perspectives. So the length of the speech, which is exactly what I tell people, sort of aim for 5 minutes. If it's a little less, if it's a little more, you're golden.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about, people always go, well, do I need to memorize it? And my personal opinion is no, you don't need to memorize it. You need to practice it so that you can occasionally look up and not be the seventh grader reading your book report with your head down.
Yeah. But it's funny. Some people are like, I don't want to have a paper in my hand. That's so tacky. And I'm like, who cares? What's wrong with that? Like, it's fine. That shows that you've actually put thought and time into this. So no, I would not memorize it, because then you sound like you memorized it. Just having those main points and referencing them, and don't feel rushed. I know I said 3 minutes, but like, you got to deliver it. Don't start with the day they were born and what outfit they wore home from the hospital, but like, go full circle.
Well, yeah. And if it ends up being a little bit less, no one's going to say I don't really think she cares about Michelle that much. It's only 3 minutes. I was counting.
Yeah. Yeah. How? Oh my God. That's so tacky.
4, she'd love her, but 3. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being our wedding expert. Michelle Martinez, she hosts the Big Wedding Planning podcast. And also you have the Big Wedding Planning Masterclass.
Yes, a digital course as well.
What do they learn in the masterclass?
They will learn how to plan a wedding like a wedding planner, from beginning all the way to the wedding day itself. I've taken my, couple decades of experience and put it into this course so that they could plan their wedding efficiently, have fun doing it, and then maybe, have a family or friend help coordinate things on the day of, so they get it all set up and just kind of hand it over.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise, Michelle. I really appreciate it. And
thank you for having me.
Go check out her website. She's got incredible stuff there.